I'm in my comeback era. I'm in my era. I'm in my comeback era. Oh, hey girl. I know it's been a while, and I know the reason you clicked on this video is not really to hear about me. I mean, yeah, you may be interested in where I've been, what I've been up to, but that's not the real reason you've clicked on this video. The reason you have clicked on this video is because it has been time for you to come back, and you are taking this. In fact, I'm telling you, you're going to take this as your final sign to come back, to start again, to reinvent yourself, and to accept that the past is the past. Whatever happened, happened. But right here, right now, in this moment, you are going to commit to starting over. So if you needed to hear that, stay tuned for this video. You're going to want to hear what I have to share, because I know too well what it's like to start over, to feel like you're starting from scratch, and to have the fear of doing that. So I'm going to share with you exactly how I'm pushing past that myself, and how you can also do the same and join me on this journey. So if you're ready for this video, write in the comments hashtag comeback era if you're on this journey, and let's get into it. So where have I been? For anybody who, cares about little old me, if you've been watching me for a while now, welcome back. If you're brand new, this is probably a good video to start with, because I truly feel like this is probably going to be the most realist, authentic video that I have posted in a while. And that's for a few reasons. First reason is because I have made a vow to myself that I am going to show up the most authentic I can, the most real, unpolished, unperformative version of myself that I can. And that's kind of hard for me, because my brand has always been kind of prim and polished, and that's just who I am as a person. But for a few reasons, I've decided I want to strip back from that. The main reason being is I wouldn't want to have to perform. I just want to show up and be myself. And there's plenty of evidence out there to show that on YouTube, you can show up, be yourself, be authentic, share the journey, the challenges, etc., and make good money from it. I've seen it for myself without having to do the extra stuff, without having to do the edits, without having to do the jump cuts. Oh, that's great, and there's a place for that. But here on this channel, what you're going to get is real, raw, unpolished, and you're going to get that comfy, cozy feel content. And that's the type of content that I love. I love, when people go off on little riffs. I love storytelling. I love long form. And yes, remember that YouTube is the OG of long form. Yes, they've introduced shorts. Yes, people like to do short videos, 5, 6 minutes, 10 minutes. But me, I like to watch videos that are hours long, and I'll watch the whole thing. Yes, I'm doing other things. Yes, I'm seeing to my daughter. Yes, I'm cooking. Yes, I'm doing the dishes. Yes, I'm doing something. Dishes? I can't even believe that came out of my mouth. Let me be real. I don't do dishes. I have a dishwasher. And I ain't ever going back to doing dishes. So you won't catch me doing dishes. But you'll catch me doing things around the house. You'll catch me going for a walk. You'll catch me running errands. And I always have a long form video playing in the background. That's just who I am. So when it comes to me now showing up, I questioned, could I be successful in doing the same? Do I have to show up in a certain way? Do I have to edit? Do I have to learn the newest transitions? And I ain't doing it. Miss me with it. And that's why this is a whole other video, but I've decided that Instagram, it's just not going to work for me. I've had a love-hate relationship with Instagram for years, but this right here, right now, I've decided me and short form, me and stories, we just don't go together. Me and YouTube, however, we do. So you'll see me on here with long-ish videos. I'll see how long I can talk for, because I'm still, finding my flow again. But long form, minimal edits, and just speaking from my heart is the content that resonates with me. So if that resonates with you, then hey, welcome. I'm so happy that you're here. And I really hope you gain value from what I have to say and what I have to share. So yeah, that's the first reason that what did I say? I made a vow to myself that I'm going to show up as authentic. The first reason being is I love long form content, and I just don't have the time or the capacity to be sitting and editing videos these days. Like, I'll do the bare minimum, but to be adding transitions and pop-ups on the screen and all sorts, unless I find a serious AI tool that will help me, which to be fair, I kind of have, which I'll share in videos to come. But if you ever see that, just know it wasn't me. It was either the AI, my AI assistant, or it was the VA or somebody, a video editor. Just know it wasn't me, because between being a mother, a wife, a working mom at that, and all of the in between, whilst even trying to reset my own nervous system and get back into my routines and my health and fitness, I just can't be editing videos. So this is what you're going to get. And I really hope it's received well. So yeah, that's the first reason I've decided that. And the second reason, well, I don't even know how many reasons I'm up to now, but the second thing I'll share as to why I've made this vow to myself is because I did feel like I was kind of just losing myself. I was losing my personality with, the veil of social media and the image that is portrayed willingly or unwillingly, consciously or unconsciously, sorry. It's easy to slip into that mask. And oh boy, the year I've had, not even just the year, the 5 years probably I've just been feeling like, yeah, a lot has happened, a lot has shifted, a lot has changed in my life. And I really need to recenter, recalibrate, and just find myself within everything again. So I am just making this vow to show up as raw, authentic, as uncut, as unfiltered as I possibly can. And yeah, we're just going to roll with it, see what happens. But back to the story. So where have I been, for anybody who cares? I have been figuring it out. I guess that's the best way I can put it. So a lot has happened, and there's been many transitions in my life over the past couple of years, to be honest. But the underlying thing that I'll share throughout all of this is I've been experiencing a burnout, which, if you know me, or if you could just put two and two together, of course something's happened. Like, where have I been all year? I've been experiencing a burnout, and it's not the type of burnout that is, just literally cannot move, you laying on the couch or just in bed all day, physically paralyzed. It wasn't that type of burnout. No type of burnout is better than the, like, it's all terrible. It's all terrible, regardless of which one you go through. But the type of burnout that I've experienced, in my opinion, is the worst type of burnout, because it's the silent burnout. It's the one that creeps up on you. It's it's that kind of creeper that you can be functional. And I've always been a very highly functional person throughout my periods of anxiety, periods of, or waves of depression, or whatever you'd like to call it. Even throughout all of that, I've always been very high functional. I can always get on with my day. I can always show up. I can always, present well. I can always speak and communicate my thoughts well. So throughout my years and periods of going through these wave of emotions, I would still be highly functional. However, the burnout I've been experiencing, and I'll honestly, dare I say, it started like 5 years ago. It's just been a slow, niggling burnout that chips away at you, and it starts to chip away at parts of yourself that over time, if you don't nip it in the bud, then you're just going to lose yourself completely, because it's the type of burnout that slowly starts to chip away at first your thoughts. And this is my personal opinion. This is what happens. It starts to chip away at your thoughts, and it starts to make you believe that you've lost interest, you've lost passion, or you're just not in interested in anything anymore. And this often comes off of the back of an existential crisis. And the crisis I will not name in this video. But if you put the dates together, 5 years ago, I mean, I was living a completely different life to now. And I absolutely love my life now. And I'm so happy for everything that has happened in my life and where I currently am. But this feeling, and you know what I'll say is my life is completely transformed in many areas. And it's been just such a beautiful journey that I've been on. The one area that my life has just not felt as settled for the past few years has honestly been career, which is crazy because I've hit some huge milestones in the past 5 years, and I've had opportunities that people could only dream for, and I've been able to pivot and rebrand, and I've just maneuvered so many different spaces effortlessly, may I add. And I have to obviously give the glory to God that I have that favor on my life, and the favor on me to be able to navigate and pivot and figure things out. And one of my points that I'm going to share soon is just about remembering who you are. And that's an exercise that I've had to do recently, because when I actually look at what I've done and what I've built over the past 10 years, the past decade, I mean, I've built a platform, a personal brand, and I've educated hundreds of thousands of people online. I've made over six figures doing so in a short space of time. And it's accomplishments that people would literally dream of, and they'd look at it like, you're doing amazing. What are you even talking about? However, for me, it's just still been an area that has been quite unsettled, because a limiting belief that I have had and I still am working through is the fact that if it isn't a traditional path, then is it real? Or I have a belief that it could go away, or in 10 years time, what's it going to look like? It's a lot of what ifs, it's a lot of second guessing, questioning, and being around other people and them looking at you like, what have you actually been doing? Like, all of this is what I've been battling with. So even though I've built an amazing career, it is what it is. I've built an online career as a digital content creator, as a presenter, as a coach, as a mentor. I have an educational platform, and I mean, I haven't done the figures or the stats, but I'm probably in the 1% of educational content creators in the UK. If you add Black to that, like, yeah, I'm definitely up there. So I really had to remember who I was, and just knowing that, yes, it wasn't the traditional path, or it wasn't a 9 to 5, which I even went back to a 9 to 5 recently, it still counts. But this burnout has been, yeah, just chipping away at me and my decisions and my choices. And then slowly it starts to chip away at your consistency, because you kind of have in the back of your mind, what's the point? And that what's the point kind of gets louder and louder and louder, until your actions then start to act in accordance to that thought. So if you're telling yourself day in, day out, what's the point? Then when the slightest inconvenience comes around, you're like, okay, well, what's the point? I just won't bother. And then over time, you lose consistency. And then over time, you start to lose trust within yourself, your ability to actually show up, to actually to perform. And then once that lack of self-trust starts to come in, you then start to lose confidence. And I feel like that's the highest level and the worst level to get to, because when you start losing confidence in yourself and your ability and losing trust, then it becomes a downward spiral. Let's just be honest. That's what it is. So that's the type of burnout that I've been feeling. It's like a mental burnout where every day you're beating yourself up and bullying yourself, and yet still not taking action. But it's kind of knowing what you need to do, but just not doing it. It's such a cognitive dissonance because you kind of have two versions of yourself in your mind. This is all in your mind, by the way, as well. But in your mind, you have these two versions. You have the version that you know you're destined to be, that you're called to be. You have the vision so clearly of, what this woman is like and what her habits are, what her actions are, how successful she is, the accolades she's receiving, and just how much of a wholesome, well-rounded, strong, successful woman she is. But then your actions are this other one, this other person who's the enemy, dare I say. And this enemy, believe it or not, is there to protect you. But it be your own brain. It be your own brain that tries to protect you but ends up doing the most damage. So this other version of you is like your brain, like your monkey brain, your erratic brain, the side of you that's telling you it's not going to work out, there's no point, you're going to fail again. What's the point being consistent today when you know you're going to fall off again tomorrow? And it's that brain that's actually trying to have your best interest and keep you safe, but it's causing such a divide and separation between the woman that you're called to be. And if you don't take a hold of it and take control over it, it will then start to control you. And that's what then starts to manifest in the form of burnout, in the form of mental fatigue, in the form of not feeling like, just feeling like there's no end. And it becomes scary to think that you're so far apart from the path that, you're called to be on, that you are literally in a no man's land, in a wilderness. And you can take control of it. That's the good news. But whilst you're going through it, it's really scary. And yeah, that's kind of where I've been, on top of welcoming, and before I even get into that, on top of moving to a new city and then getting engaged, and then 6 weeks later getting married. By the way, I was with this man, my husband, for 2 years prior. So I didn't just move and then in 6 weeks meet a man and get married. Like, I know some people think that because of my last video on that, but no, we were in a long distance for 2 years. And then when I moved closer to him, everything just got expedited. So yeah, moving to a new city, getting engaged, 6 weeks later, getting married, then a couple months later, finding out I was pregnant, having what was, a happy, healthy pregnancy, went for the 20-week scan, and naively would never have imagined anything to be wrong. However, during that scan, then found out that our precious baby girl, which soon you will meet, I know I need to bring her on the channel, but finding out that our precious baby girl has a lifelong, life-limiting, God forbid, life-limiting, they say, condition, heart condition. It's rare, and finding out that she has this condition, and then literally our world's been shaken up, being presented with a few options right then and there whilst I'm sat there, having this scan. We're then being taken into another room and being told that you have three options. One of them being to terminate this pregnancy, the next one being to go down the surgical route, meaning that our baby will need to have multiple open heart surgeries at days old in order to survive. Without these surgeries, there's no chance of survival. Or the final option being comfort care, which basically means that they just allow the baby, you give birth naturally, and then you allow the baby to pass away. I should have said a trigger warning, I'm sorry. But yeah, so now my pregnancy going from being happy and healthy to now being considered a high risk, and now we're preparing delivery. Of course, if you couldn't tell, our baby girl is here. She's amazing. She's a miracle. She's a fighter and an absolute warrior and just the light of our lives. But back then, at the 20-week scan, abortion was never going to be an option. Sorry, it just wasn't. So we knew we was going to fight for our baby, and that's exactly what we did. So my pregnancy then turned into a high-risk pregnancy, and the remaining 18 weeks of that pregnancy was then preparing in many ways, preparing for delivery, preparing our minds, preparing to become a mother, preparing to become not just a mother, but a medical mother, preparing to watch our precious baby being literally whisked away from us immediately after delivery to then get put on life supportive care, to then being separated from our baby for 5 days. Well, my husband went with her, but I was still recovering. And then my daughter went off to the children's hospital. And we were separated for 5 days whilst we both recovered separately. And then once I was healed enough, I then followed and joined them, my husband and Jemima Rose is her name. I then followed them at the children's hospital, and we stayed there for 4 months while she had multiple heart surgeries and multiple surgical interventions, and just healed and got stronger until eventually we were discharged and then went home and then started life as somewhat normal. But there was still a lot of medical intervention at that point. And yeah, so mind you, this was all in the first year of marriage, right? So 2 months in, we got married. No honeymoon, not yet. We still haven't had that honeymoon. And immediately we're then pregnant, to then finding out this information about our daughter, to then going into the hospital and staying at the children's hospital for that extended period of time. So a lot happened. And during all of this, whilst I'm, staying as strong as possible for my family, I'm still in the back of my mind thinking about my career and what that's looking like and the status of my career. Well, not even the status, the state. And of course, I have not been active on YouTube for a whole year. I wasn't active, and I guess you can consider it a maternity leave. I was on maternity leave with no money. I was on an unpaid maternity leave. And of course, I had money. Of course, I had my husband who was providing, and I had somewhat savings, so I could still go on my little shopping sprees and whatnot. But ultimately, if you're not showing up online, you're not making money. So thank God I had 2 very successful years in my business prior to. So 2022, 2023 was very successful, and I was able to save a lot. So that kind of sustained me somewhat. But by the end of that period, as in now, I'm rebuilding because, yeah, the money's gone low. So I really need to figure it out. And earlier this year, because of this extreme burnout I was feeling, I honestly thought I had reached the end of my YouTube career, and I thought, you know what, this YouTube thing isn't for me. I can barely string together a sentence right now because that's how burnout affects you. It really attacks your mental capacity, your executive function, and your ability to even conversate. So even the fact that I'm able to speak for how long now? 23 minutes. God, it's a miracle, because I was sat here thinking I'll probably get like 10 minutes out of myself before my brain wanders or something happens. But anyway, we're here still. So yeah, at the start of the year, I was kind of like, okay, I need to figure something else out because this ain't going to work. I don't think I have the desire, the capacity, and the mental ability to even sit and film a YouTube video, let alone anything else. So I made the decision that I was going to look into going back to corporate. And that's exactly what I did. So January of 2025, I put out the intention that I wanted to pivot into tech, specifically tech sales. And I have a background in sales. I mean, my whole corporate career has been sales and customer success and customer service. That has been my corporate background. So I already have experience in high ticket sales. I have experience in B2B sales, but I haven't had experience in tech. So I was like, okay, let me see. I set out the intention to get into tech sales, and I kind of thought, I'll just softly put it out there. I wasn't really, doing too much. But you see something about me and the favor on my life. And if you know me, everyone knows this about me. Whenever I like want something, especially when it comes to a job, I get it like this. Like one day I'll probably do a video about all the different jobs I've had and how they've benefited me and how they've got me to where I am now. But I will tell you, no matter what it is, which field, whatever, I'm very good at getting jobs. So I put out the intention that I wanted to pivot into tech sales. And when I did that, I thought, okay, I'll give myself, because Jemima was still 7 months at the time. So I was like, okay, so yeah, in about 3 to 6 months, that I'll probably get the job. But let me just, feel out the interview process. Let me get my practice in because I don't know what kind of questions they're going to ask. So let me just see what it's all about. So yeah, I set out the intention in January. Now, not even a week later, I then found myself on a call for a role, and this was kind of like a introductory call into the role, to see if it would be a good fit, see if it's something I'm interested in. So I joined this call with this company, and then I thought, you know what, this sounds interesting. Let me go for it. So I then ended up applying for the role. That next day, I landed an interview. That next week, I had the interview. There were 3 stages. The first interview was a pre-recorded interview. Past that, second interview was a interview with one of the managers on Teams. Past that, and then the final stage was an in-person interview with another manager and then the general manager of EMEA. If you don't know what EMEA means, it's basically Europe, Middle East, Africa. So yeah, ended up passing all of that, and within a week, well, the next day I found out I got the job. So yeah, that all happened super quickly. And I know that's not common and it's not normal, and I'm so blessed. And yeah, so within like 3 weeks, I literally landed my first role in tech. And it was a completely new industry for me, all new, but of course I had a sales background. But yeah, so if you want a video on how to pivot and how to, yeah, just be that girl, how to land opportunities, how to create opportunities. I'm very good at creating my own opportunities as well. So yeah, I decided, okay, this is a new chapter, new me, corporate girly, 9 to 5, all of that. But the one downside, and you're going to think I'm crazy, but I'm going to share it with you anyway. The one downside to this role was that it was in girl. It was in the office 5 days a week in central London. Now, I don't live in central London anymore. I live just outside of London now. So yeah, this I knew was going to be a huge sacrifice for me to be commuting every single day, knowing that I have a baby at home who my husband works remotely fully, so I knew that she'd be fine with him at home. And then we have a lot of support from my husband's family, so I knew she'd be absolutely fine. And my husband and I spoke about it and was like, maybe this is the necessary step for you to progress in your career. You've been an entrepreneur for how many years, and right now you are at a stage where you want to try something different. So this is the opportunity to go for it. So I did, and I made the sacrifice, and it was great. As you can tell, I'm speaking in past tense because I'm no longer there. So 6 months into the role, I decided actually it's not a good fit, and I just camera just died. But yeah, 6 months in, I realized it just wasn't going to be the best fit for where I currently am in my life right now. And yeah, many other circumstances, but it was a great experience, a great company. And yeah, everything in life is an experience. That's how I see it. Treat life as an experiment. I wanted to try something new. I went into tech sales, and I did pretty well as well. And because I have a sales background, I knew I would. There were just some things that were quite limiting within the structure that didn't sit right with me, and there was just a few factors that weren't quite right and were misaligned to my personal life and the role. And what that experience really taught me is the fact that my values and who I am, who God has called me to be, is definitely an entrepreneur. I know that through and through. No matter how many times I want to run from it or resist it, I just know that's what I'm called to. And I just need to stop allowing fear to limit me, to limit my calling, to limit my potential. So that experience of me going back into corporate was amazing because it actually showed me what's possible for me to actually do for myself. And now I have started an agency where I'm offering sales support to tech startups. So it has really just unfolded this incredible path for me that I am now like, okay, yeah, why didn't I think of that? Like, that makes so much sense. And I'm now working with an incredible client already. I mean, I only started this, like 2 weeks ago. I already signed my first client, and that's been going great. So, yeah, my plan now is just to build that. And this gives me the freedom, the flexibility to still be at home with my baby girl and to be building my platforms whilst working with incredible clients on my terms, and of course making a lot more money doing so, because the 9 to 5 can be a bit limiting, and especially when you commute into central London. And I think there's a time and a place for that, but where I'm at in my life right now, I'm past that. If I was like early 20s, then yeah, let's do it. But yeah, this season in my life is for me to lock in with the gifts, the talents that God has placed within me. And that is definitely entrepreneurship and, yeah, exploring whatever that's going to look like. So I'm excited to be back on YouTube for sure. And I'm excited to share all that I've been working on and just the direction that I'll be taking this channel, this brand. And I know it's going to be things that you're very excited about, because if I know you, which I feel like I do, you are a lover of all things goals, productivity, reinventing yourself, habits, routines, and just living an incredible life. And in order to do so, you need accountability. So that's the crutch. And that is exactly what I'm going to be focusing on with this channel. It's going to be all about your comeback era, reinventing yourself, and I'm going to be holding you accountable. Like, me personally, I'm going to hold you accountable. So, yeah, excited for that. Now, a few points I just wanted to touch on is like, how do you come over the fear of starting over after having such a long break? And how do you come over the fear? The way you really come over the fear is just taking it one step at a time and just putting one foot forward. That is the best that you can do, because what can happen is we get so wound up in our head about what it needs to look like, about what step 10 is going to be, when we haven't yet even done step 1. So in order for you to release the next step, you need to first take an action. So this is the mindset that you need to adopt now going forward. If you have been paralyzed or stuck with taking a step that has been on your mind and has been tormenting you, but yet you haven't done yet, what I want you to do is take a piece of paper, take your notes, whatever works for you. Write out all of the steps involved, everything that's ruminating around your mind. Write it all out just so it's out of your mind and you can be clear-headed to actually think straight. And then literally start ticking it off one by one, but do not move to the next step until you've completed the first action step. Now, I just remembered I wanted to speak about remembering that girl. I might make that a whole video. Shall I do that? Yeah, I'm going to make that another video. But just to quickly answer this question, how do you come over the fear of starting again after a long break? Write out this list and do not move on to the next step until you've completed the first one. what I want you to do is rid yourself of this multitasking. Like, all of this propaganda, I'm not falling for it. All of this, women are so good at multitasking. Who said that? Who told us that? And even if we are, is that in our best interest? I mean, for some women, okay, yes, maybe. And, this is a tricky one because multitasking is not the same as being multi-hyphenate. So if you have multiple passions, if you have multiple interests, if you have multiple hobbies, that's different to you then multitasking. Multitasking is you doing all of the things at the same time. You can have multiple interests, but it doesn't necessarily mean you have to do it all at the same time. So when you're multitasking different tasks, especially when they're tasks that are so unrelated that they're just dividing your attention, that is not within your best interest. So what you need to do from this day forward is single task. This is what the men do, and this is why they're successful. And I'm not saying women aren't successful, because we are. We're very successful. But the downfall of us is our mind. The downfall is our emotions. The downfall is this multitasking, feeling like we want to do everything all at once. So what I want you to start doing is single tasking. Write down your list of tasks that you need to do in order, and then tick them off one by one. And do not move on to the next one until that first task is done. Do not do it. Do not do it. I'm watching you. Do not do it. Because what's going to happen is if you start skipping, bouncing around from task to task, you're going to fall back into that wormhole of trying to see the full picture when the picture is still creating itself. So stop trying to control. This is the thing. You want to control everything. We want to control all of the outcome. But right now, where you're at, you're starting over. So you have no idea of what the actual outcome is right now. You're creating it in real time. There's no path. We're not going off of past results. We're not going off of what happened 2 years ago. We're not going off of that perceived failure that happened. We're now recreating, we're rebuilding, we're starting over. So in order to start over, have the mindset of you don't know what's waiting on the other side. You don't know what will happen when you finally post that YouTube video that you've been sitting on. You don't know what opportunity is then going to find you from there. You don't know what job is going to open up to you from sending that application and not procrastinating on it and not fixing your CV again for the 10th time. You don't know what's waiting on the other side of you finally doing that 3-day fast that you've been talking about, or finally quitting sugar. I'm talking to myself here. You don't know what's waiting on the other side of that. So instead of you to try and be a fortune teller, what you now need to do is just take the action. So I am able to overcome the fear of starting over after a break by just doing, by just setting up the camera, by just sitting in front of the camera and just allowing whatever to be. So that's what you need to do. And that's truly how you get over the fear. And I know you probably don't want to hear that because you've heard it so many times, but it's the truth, okay? So just do it. Write the list, start ticking it off one by one. Do not move on to the next one until you've done it. Even if it takes you a whole week, even if it takes you a month, if you physically cannot move forward because there's one task that's just waiting and you're resisting, then this is clearly a sign that some inner work is needed. Because you want to ask yourself, why is it that you're resisting? What is it that you're fearful of? What is keeping you stuck in this spiral? And if you need to talk this out with somebody, if you want me to discuss this with you and maybe help you break through this barrier, then head to my description because I've got something super special for you. I may speak on it at the end of this video, but head down there because you'll probably want first dibs on that. But we need to understand where this block is coming from. So that's it. And some simple steps to get back on track without feeling overwhelmed, because I know it can be scary because you're putting yourself back out there, knowing that you've been struggling with consistency, knowing that you have been a perceived flop or failure. Again, it's only in your mind, but is what it is. And knowing that there's a real possibility that you could fall off again, you could lose focus again, because, you know, we all fall victim to it. So it is a possibility. So what are some simple steps that you can do to get back on track without feeling so overwhelmed about it? And I would honestly say it's by stripping back and asking yourself, what is the most frictionless way that I can show up right now? So I shared with you at the start of this video that for me, it's showing up raw, live, and uncut, unfiltered. There may be minimal edits if there's like a really long issue and I have to just add a quick cut or trim, then I'll do that. But I'm trying to get this as close to a live stream as possible. And you'll probably see a lot of live streams on my channel because that's a way for me to show up in the most easy, frictionless way. I don't have to then take out my SD card, sit and edit a video. I don't have time. It's now 1:30 in the morning, 1:30 a.m. My baby's asleep. My husband's away for the weekend. So I'm like, okay, I am maximizing this opportunity that I have to film. And I want to do it in the most simple, stress-free way as possible. So whatever that is for you right now, execute on that. Take it to the bare minimum, the bare bones. Stop reminding yourself of your potential. We know it's there. We know it's going to continue to be there. But right now, that's not what your nervous system needs. You don't need to be showing up at level 10. You need to drop it right back down to level 1. So yes, it may not be your best work. Yes, it may not be to your standard. But at least you're showing up. At least you're doing the thing, which is a lot more than you've been doing. So sometimes we have to just have that grace on ourselves that we've had this long break and now we're working that muscle again. I mean, if you've taken a year off going to the gym, you're not just going to go back in the gym and start pressing, 60 kg, start doing 60 kg squats and deadlifts and whatever. No, you're going to take that all the way back down to the bar weight maybe. And then you'll start adding on your little 10s and then 20s and then 15s or whatever. But you have to know that regardless of what it is that you are starting over in, baby steps are needed. And it's okay. You'll get back to where you was. And I know your mind wants to tell you, oh, but it's going to take longer. Like, I want it to be quick. And one thing I'll say about that is on this channel, you're going to hear me share a lot of concepts and principles about collapsing time and about how you're going to gain back your time and how you're going to 10x the time and 10x all that you've lost. So don't worry, that's coming. I'm going to share with you exactly how you're going to regain the time like nothing happened. A lot of the principles that I've been learning and adopting are all about collapsing time. I mean, look at my whole wedding. I collapsed that time, and us now even transitioning into becoming parents. Like, yes, the way I've created my life is all about speed. I love speed. But there are some times where speed is not necessarily needed. It's the stamina. So if you're restarting, you're building up the stamina again before you can launch and have the speed. And I'm a Jamaican girl. I'm a Caribbean girl. I need to get better, to be honest. But back in my day, I was a sprinter. And 100-meter sprints, 200-meter sprints, that was me. Boom, bam, quick. Like, miss me with the relay, miss me with the long distance, miss me with the marathons. I need speed. I need to get there quick. But if you don't have the stamina for that, then you're never going to get to the finish line. So we're building back up the reps, we're building back up the stamina. It's not going to take as long as your mind is telling you, but do this properly this time. So yeah, that's all I'm going to say in this video. Kind of a bit rambly, but I hope you gain something from this. I hope this gives you the encouragement and the motivation that you need. And if you are in a season in your life right now where you could really do with the accountability, you could do with a bit of a nudge, and you could do with just, getting the wheels kicking again and finding yourself and just remembering who you are, then I would highly suggest going to my description box. I have a little surprise in there for you, something that I'll be starting, and I think that you definitely need to jump on this ASAP, because this is probably what you need to get you to the next level in this season. So head down to my description. Cannot wait to, see you there, have you involved, and to support you on your journey of becoming your best self and coming back to who you are destined to be. Love you loads. See you in the next one.